What's up everybody? Welcome back or to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another mountain bike project. This time it's going to be on my wife's mountain bike. Now if you've been following my channel, you know that I do a lot of modifications on a variety of different things. I do mountain bikes, trucks, motorcycles, pretty much you name it, I'm modifying it. Now what kind of sparked my wife's interest was she's been watching my last two mountain bike builds, and my most recent mountain bike build that I was doing for myself was the Schwinn Aluminum DP. She really liked a lot of the modifications I was doing to the bike and how those modifications made the bike fit me better. So she asked if I could modify her bike too, which obviously I said 100% let's do it. So she happens to have a Schwinn Aluminum Comp, which is a 27.5-inch mountain bike. It's a great bike. I actually really like that bike. I would personally go with that bike if I was a little bit shorter, but because I'm a taller guy, I needed a 29-inch mountain bike, which is why my last mountain bike was a Schwinn Boundary and why my current mountain bike is a Schwinn Aluminum DP. But because she's not as tall as me, the Schwinn Aluminum Comp seems to fit her. It might actually just be a tad too big for her, but she still fits it pretty comfortably, and I just need to make a few modifications to it to make it fit her body better. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing a bunch of little modifications to her bike in hopes that she's going to like it a lot better, which is obviously going to entice her to want to ride the mountain bike even more this year. And being that we have plans on doing more mountain bike vlogging and different things of that nature, I wanted to make sure her bike was more comfortable. So without further ado, let's jump into it and let's get this project started. Okay, so here's just a small list of things I'm going to be adding to her bike today. So we have a new cushioned seat, which is actually more of like a mid-frame seat. It's not the thin one, it's not the very large one. It's sort of like right in the middle, so it gives you plenty of support on your backside without looking too overwhelming and without getting in your way when you're actually mountain biking. So I got this. We do have some new pedals here, which I'll unbox here in a minute and show you those. We do have new lock-on grips. We do have new blue rubberized lever covers. Got her a new universal bottle mount holder here. Got her a new stem, which is a little shorter, but has a little bit of a rise to it, which will help raise the handlebars just a little bit and bring them closer to her. I have some blue accent sleeves here, and I got her some new handlebars. Now, these are the same handlebars that I put on my bike. They do have a nice rise to them. They have a nice sweep back on them. And I got to say, these ones right here were not expensive. I got them online. I think I paid a little over 20 bucks for them. But in my opinion, I think because I was looking for a high quality handlebar with a little bit more of a rise to the bar, these ones I would say compete with most of the other ones out there that are triple the cost. So these ones worked out really good on my bike, so we're going to be putting them on her bike. So that's what we're starting here today. And if you see over here, there's my Schwinn Aluminum DP bike there that I've been building there. And then one of these Schwinn Aluminum Comps is hers. I just got to figure out which one it is. And then one's my other daughter's. So I'm going to grab my wife's, bring it down, and we're going to start modifying it. So let's get this going. Okay, so we just got our bike down off the rack. So let's just go over a few things of why I like the Schwinn Aluminum Comp mountain bike. So first and foremost, this is a 27.5-inch mountain bike. It is an all aluminum frame. The paint scheme on it is really sharp. It actually really looks good. It has an adjustable seat in the back so you can go up and down with the quick release lever. This is a 21-speed mountain bike, so this is not a one-by mountain bike, which is more common on like your Schwinn Aluminum DP. This is a 21-speed mountain bike, so you do have a lot more gears to run up and down depending on what situation you're doing with your mountain bike. It does have nice knobby tires on the back, which have very good grip to them. It does have front and rear disc brakes, which is really nice for a mountain bike because a lot of these mountain bikes don't come with disc brakes from factory. This one does. So that's already a great upgrade right there, which really helps make it easier to upgrade your brakes to hydraulic brakes later. So if you have a mountain bike that already comes with front and rear disc brakes, you can easily swap out the levers for a hydraulic brake system, which is what I've done on my mountain bike over here. I went with the Shimano MT200 hydraulic brakes, which are fantastic. They're not that expensive, and they're very easy to add to any bike as long as you have the front and rear disc brakes, which this bike has. And eventually I will be probably adding the hydraulic brakes to her bike because they just make braking so much easier. You can literally brake with one finger. It really just makes braking a lot more enjoyable when you're riding these mountain bikes. Now, moving on, it does have a front shock, which does do pretty good. It's not the best shock in the world, but it does pretty good. It's not an air shock. It doesn't have any kind of adjustable settings or any kind of a lockout. It's just a basic front shock. But for her riding style, it works perfectly fine. Now, for my riding style, I have the stock Schwinn Aluminum DP shock on there. But it is a little bit better of a shock, and it does come with some adjustments, and it does have a manual lockout. But as I get more aggressive in the mountain bike riding, I probably will be upgrading my front shock on that bike here this summer. But for now, I'm gonna leave her front shock alone until she gets a little bit further into mountain biking, which as she progresses, we'll upgrade her shock at that point. But the point I'm trying to make is this bike already has a tapered head tube here, which makes swapping out the shocks for different forks at a later date much easier. So again, having a tapered head tube is awesome. It really does open up the opportunities to different forks and shocks that you can swap out later. But overall, this is a great bike. She really likes it. It's easy to ride. Again, this is a 21-speed mountain bike. The actual shift setup is actually nothing fancy. It doesn't have a clutch or anything like that. But again, for her riding style, which is not too aggressive, she does more longer cross-country type trail riding, nothing more aggressive than that. But this works perfectly fine for her. We've had no drop chains. We've had no issues with shifting gears. It actually works pretty well, so we're pretty happy with that overall. But a couple things that she did mention she wanted to see changed on this bike was the seat from stock is very uncomfortable and it hurts her when she's riding longer than, say, a half an hour or an hour. We definitely have to swap out the seat. She wanted some better pedals that had a little bit more grip to them because when she's trying to pedal fast and she happens to have wet shoes, sometimes her feet slips off of the stock pedals, which is very common. But once you upgrade your pedals to something that's a little bit more aggressive, your feet won't slip off of them. She didn't really like the handlebar setup because the stem pushed the bars a little too forward and didn't give her much rise because these bars have a very, very minimal rise to them. So that was one of the other things is she wanted a little bit of a shorter stem with a raised handlebar, which is what we're going to be doing today. Other than that, she really did like the idea of having those rubber grip sleeves on the levers here, which just gives you added grip. So I'll put that on today too. And she wanted a little bit of a color splash to this bike. That's why we have a little bit of a color splash going on with some silvers and some blues and some reds. So we're going to be doing that today for her. So without further ado, let's just jump in and start taking care of this. So let's start on the seat. Let me take the stock one off and we'll pop the new one on. Okay, so I went ahead and just pulled the whole seat post out. So we're just gonna go ahead and loosen up these bolts here on the back, and then we can actually start putting on the new seat. Now, as you can see here, there is a difference in the seat size, but very minimally. It's a very sleek seat. It does have the air chamber here to allow air to flow, so you're not getting all sweaty and chafed and uncomfortable. It does have a lot of memory foam cushioning in the back. This is all memory foam back here, so it actually feels really good. And it's a full adjustable seat. So let me go ahead and start taking this off and we'll be right back. Okay, so now that we have the seat taken off the factory seat post, all we have to do now is slide the seat post in and tighten it up. So it's, again, on this particular bike, it's a very easy, simple setup. Now, it was a little bit more difficult to put this seat on my Schwinn Aluminum DP because I have a dropper post on that bike, so the post setup was completely different. But on a bike like this, very simple and easy, so we're just gonna drop it in. And we're gonna try to get an idea of how she's gonna want her seat. Probably gonna do it like this. Probably a little bit of an angle like that. And again, we can always make adjustments to the seat later once she sits on the bike and gets a good feel for it. Okay, I'll kind of line this up. Right there, looks good. tighten that up later. Okay, that's probably gonna be a little bit too high for her, but we'll adjust that here in a minute. So let me go ahead and slap this back on the bike and we'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see here, that's the new seat. So again, big difference in how the seat looks. I mean, there's a complete difference in the seat. This factory seat is not comfortable at all, and the backside seat is not comfortable at all. There's not much cushion at all. This new seat here is all memory foam. So you can see here, you can push your thumb down and it holds its position for a minute. So it's very, very soft, very nice seat. But just a quick reminder, all of the parts that we're putting on this bike today, I will be putting links in the description of this video of where you can go buy them if you would be interested in. But overall, the seat turned out great. I'm sure she's gonna be very happy with that. So let's move on to the next modification. Okay, so real quick, we're just gonna do some of the easy things and get them out of the way. Let's go ahead and put this universal bottle cage holder on the bike. It's very simple. All we gotta do is unstrap it. It actually comes with a couple different mounting plates, whether you wanna strap it to your bike or just screw it down to the bike, which this bike here already has the bolts for the cage. So I'm just gonna bolt it right down and it'll work out great. So let me go work on that and I'll be right back. Okay, so we just went ahead and got the bottle cage put on, and I just used a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads just to keep it locked in place. Now what I like about this cheap little bottle holder here is it holds your standard water bottles. It has a little bit of a lip at the bottom that'll actually stop your water bottle from sliding all the way through. But I got this at Walmart, and I gotta say, this is a great little cage, and what I do like about it is here, check this out. It actually holds water bottles. So if you don't happen to have a typical water bottle that you would normally see on mountain bikes, you could just go ahead and just put any kind of a bottle of water right in there and it holds it pretty much in place. So again, a nice little water bottle holder there that does pretty good and it looks good with the bike. So now we got the seat on, we got the water bottle holder on, let's move on. Okay, so the rest of the modifications we're doing is primarily up in this region here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to start loosening up our brakes and our shift brackets here. And then what we're gonna have to do is probably cut these grips off because these factory grips are probably glued on. They're not a lock-on grip that's easy to take on and off. So we're just gonna cut those off, slide our levers off the bars. Once we have that all done, then we can actually start loosening up our stem and taking all that apart. So I'll be right back here in a minute. Okay, so we went ahead and we cut off our hand grips, took those out. We pulled the side plugs out with a set of pliers. I then went ahead and loosened up the brake brackets and the shift brackets and slid them off both sides. And I just have them hanging down on either side respectively so I know which side they go on. So now just to take this whole bar kit off, I'm not even gonna bother taking the bars out of up here because I'm replacing the bars in the stem. So to take the whole thing off as one unit, all you have to do is pretty much loosen up this little bolt here, loosen up the little bolt up here. So basically there's two bolts right on the back side of the neck. Pull this little plug right here, loosen that Allen bolt right there. Once you loosen the two back bolts and that top bolt, that whole bar should pop right off. Now, very important, you want to make sure your bike is on the ground when doing this, because if you have it up elevated on a bike stand, once you take this top bolt out up top here, if your bike was just hanging on a bike rack, your whole fork is going to slide right out of the head tube. And then your bearings, everything's going to fall on the ground. It's going to be a big mess. So what I always recommend is when you're getting ready to take this whole handlebar stem off, straddle your front wheel with your legs, and then just kind of hold the bike still so that nothing's moving until you can actually get that taken off and stabilize the bike and get the new stem put back on. So let me go ahead and do that and I'll be right back. So all I'm doing now is loosening up the rear bolts on the back of the neck. Again, you don't have to take the bolts out, you just have to loosen them up. Okay, so I got the back bolts loosened up pretty good. Now what we want to do is take another Allen wrench here and loosen up the top bolt. Okay? And as you can see, as soon as you loosen it up, the bars are moving. But you have to take the whole bolt out. So I try to stabilize it with my wrist. Use my hands to take the bolt out. Put my Allen key down there. Okay, so we're going to take this off. Now, now that that top bolt is taken out and the two back bolts are loose, we should be able to just hold the frame at the neck so that your forks don't slide. You remember, you're stabilizing the front wheel with your legs, and gently slide your whole handlebar setup off. Now, as long as your bike is on its kickstand and stable, you're good to go. So again, right now my bike is on its kickstand. Everything's kind of stable for now. But again, if I were to lift this bike up by its frame, this whole front fork is going to slide right through the head tube. So I try to avoid that because I hate working with trying to line up bearings. So all I got to do now is I'm going to take these sleeves off for now. So what we're going to do next is we're going to come over here and start working on the new stem here. Okay, this is a really nice stem because again, it's going to hold on the bike like this, but you can see how it's shorter and higher than the factory one. So let me see if I can get the other one over here. Well, I got the bar still on it, so it doesn't quite help. But the whole point, as you can see right here, how if you line up the circles, you can see that it's gonna pull the bars back a little bit and it's gonna lift them up a little bit as well. So that was my main goal, was to get her bars a little closer to her and lift the bars up a little higher because she doesn't have as long as arms as me. So she needed to get those bars closer to her as possible, which is what I got out of this stem here, and it's gonna work awesome. So there's the stem there that we're gonna be using. And I got some new sleeves here with a new top bolt here. So this is gonna really add a splash of color to the stem here. So because the bike is already silver, the goal is to add a little bit of red and blue so that she has more of a red, blue, and silver theme because she's all about America. So let's go ahead and start getting these sleeves put on the bike and see if we can get the stem lined up, and then we'll put the bars on last. So let me go work on that and I'll be right back. Okay, so let me just go ahead and open this package up. Okay, and I got this as a full kit. So it comes with multiple different sleeves and a new top plate. Because again, I'm trying to add some color to this bike, and I did not want to use the factory black top plate when I already have a black stem. So by adding that little bit of blue up there, it'll add a little bit more of a color splash to her bike. So let's go ahead and pull these sleeves out. Okay, so this kit here has multiple different sleeves. So you have a couple, looks like you have 4 of the thicker sleeves, and then you have 2 thinner sleeves, and then you have your top plate with a brand new bolt. So the reason they give you different sleeves and different sizes is because depending on which stem you use and how high your handlebars are and different things like that, you might need to use different sleeves depending on how long your top post is of your forks. So let's go over here. Okay, so the one thing you want to do, so the first thing you want to do is take your new stem, slide it over the bar to get an idea of, once it's level with the top, how much space you have to fill in with your sleeves. So it doesn't look like I'm going to need that many. We're going to start off with a big one and a small one first, and then we'll see how that lines up. So there's still too much at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'll try 2 big ones. And it just seems to be a little bit more than I'm going to try a small one on top of that. So that actually works out pretty good here with the 2 big sleeves and the small sleeve. So that's what we're going to do there. And then once we get ready to mount this down, we have to kind of shimmy the fork into position, get the bearings lined up, and then we'll start tightening this down. So let me go grab a little blue Loctite, because on this top piece right here, I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite in here so it keeps a good hold inside where it's mounting. So let's go start doing that. Let me put a little blue Loctite on there. Okay, again, we don't need a whole lot, just a little bit. Just like that. That's all we need. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get the forks lined back up again. Okay, everything lines up perfectly. I'm straddling the front wheel again with my legs, stabilizing the bike. Okay, let me go ahead and get my Allen wrench here and start tightening this down. Okay. Then we're gonna get the back bolts tightened down just a little bit. And again, when you're straddling the front wheel, you can go ahead and just kind of line up visually with your eyes the stem with the front wheel so it's not offset. Let me just try to get this hand tight for now. Okay. All right. Let me just go ahead and get a couple more turns on here to make sure everything's nice and snug. Again, I like to make sure everything's just kind of hand tight. I don't try to over tighten anything because, again, we're working with a lot of aluminum. But because if you end up turning too tight, you can actually thread out your bolts. Okay, so that seems to be on there nice and tight. Okay, so now that we're back, we got the new stem on with the new blue risers and the new blue top cap. So that actually worked out really good. It looks awesome on the bike. And I really think this is gonna be a good stem for her because it's a little shorter, bringing the bars closer to her. And it has about an inch rise, which will help raise the bars so that she doesn't have to lean over so much, hurting her back and neck. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is now that we have the stem put on, top cap's on, everything's nice and tight, loosened up our front plate here. We're just gonna slide the new handlebars in just like this. Okay. And then once you slide them through, they usually have some type of marking right in the middle that you can kind of use to help kind of align them centered. And then all you got to do is kind of figure out where do you want them angled so that your grips are where they need to be. So I'm just going to start off with like right here in an upright position, and then I'll tighten everything down. And then we'll put everything back on the handlebars, such as the shift levers, the brake levers, and the hand grips. Once we get all that done, I'll get my wife out here to sit on the bike to kind of adjust where she wants her hand grips to be, and then we'll tighten everything down at the very end. So let me get working on that and we'll be right back. Okay, so we went ahead and tightened up the bars, just hand tight for now. This is nothing final. Again, this is just to make sure the bars aren't gonna slide anywhere while we're putting everything else back on. So let me go ahead and we'll just start sliding all these brackets back on as they should, just like this. See if I can kind of do this with one hand. Okay, we're just gonna slide that back on there. Take the other brake, slide that back on like so, and so forth. And just like that, I'm gonna do the other side, line everything up, and then we're gonna start working on our lock-on grips. Now the lock-on grips are very simple and easy. Okay. What's nice about lock-on grips, especially these ones here that I got on Amazon, they are very nice. They have brand new end caps here, which are a lot nicer and thicker than the factory ones. But as you can see here, they have these little Allen bolts here. So once you slide them on, you just tighten down the bolt and that's what locks them in place. That's why they're called lock-on grips. And these ones here, I've put these on many bikes. These ones here have a great grip to them. They feel good in the hand and they're actually a really nice high quality grip. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead, slide those on first over here. Okay, so what you do is you pretty much just slide your grips on and then you have to adjust where your brakes and levers are gonna go. Okay, so once you slide your grips on, you're gonna have to keep making adjustments, okay, to your shift levers and your brakes because you want the edge of this to pretty much line up with the edge of your bars, just like that. So once you have that set up, then you want to go ahead and bolt down your lock-on grips, locking those in place. Then you can actually slide your grips back over to the grip and lock all those in place. So let me go ahead and do that and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So now that we got the new risers on, we have the new sleeves on, we got the new handlebars on, we got the new lock-on grips on. Now I just gotta go ahead and add in my rubber grip sleeves to the levers, which are very simple to do. So what you do is I just like to use some type of a soapy water, like a Windex or something like that. And I just pretty much give the hand grip a little bit of a spray. And then what you're gonna wanna do is just slide them on. Again, they're gonna be tight, okay? So you're gonna have to use a little bit of like a Dawn dish soap or something okay, to kind of just slide them on. But once you get them on, you just keep sliding, and then your hands might get a little wet. So again, make sure you dry them off. And just keep sliding them on. Almost there. A little bit more. Okay. Okay, so there you go. So once you actually get those rubber sleeves slid on top of your levers, they make a real nice tight fit. And then once that soap or Windex that you use to slide it on dries, they have a nice grippy texture, which really just allows your fingers to stay grippy on the levers in case of like a wet, muddy day. But they're very inexpensive. They do add an awesome splash of color to your bike, and they do have a nice grippy function to them. So I really like those as well. So let me go ahead, add the other one on to the other side, and then we'll go finish up on our pedals. So I'll be back in a minute. So the last thing we need to do today is replace those factory pedals. So let's go take a look at what we're going to replace them with. Now these right here, again, I got on Amazon. These are pretty awesome. But wait till you see what these look like. Look at that. Black, red, and blue, just to go with that theme of her bike. That's going to look awesome. So we got these, and as you can see here, they do have the pegs on them for maximum foot grip. These are all aluminum. So again, I've read some reviews on these online that if you're a heavier person and you're really doing aggressive mountain bike riding, I'm talking big jumps, downhill, trail riding, these sometimes can bend. But again, for her, I think these are going to look awesome on her bike, and they're going to work perfectly fine for the type of trail riding she does. So here we go here. Okay. So again, that's what these are going to look like. I think they look awesome. They have a nice combination of red, black, and blue, which is sort of the theme she's going with on her bike. So again, very simple to put on. They did come with some additional sleeves and tools and pegs, just in case you do need to replace any of these pegs. But again, we're not going to use that today. They are labeled left and right, so that you know which side of the bike they go on and which way you got to turn the thread. So all we have to do is take our 15 mil wrench here, slide it right on the bottom, loosen those pedals up, take them off, put on the new ones. Again, on the right side of the bike, you're going to turn left to loosen it, right to tighten it. But on the left side of the bike, it's the opposite. You're actually going to turn right to loosen it and left to tighten it. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we got the first one off. As you can see here, these plastic ones don't have a whole lot of grip, and they're pretty junky. So we're going to go ahead and go grab the new one and get it installed. Okay, now like I always mention, I'm a big fan of any of these pertinent threads, like your pedals. Put a couple drops of a blue Loctite on there, and that'll help kind of keep those threads locked in. Now remember, on the left side of the bike, to tighten it, you're going to actually turn to the left. It's the opposite of what you would do on the right side of the bike. So we're just going to go ahead and thread that in, just like that. Okay. All right, got them on there pretty good. Okay, so there you go. We have them installed on the bike, and as you can see here, they look awesome. They have a nice bit of grip to them with the pegs here sticking out. The color combination looks awesome as well. And when you spin them, it has a nice silent bearing. So let me just be quiet for a second and show you what that sounds like. So as you can see here, no grindy gear sound. So again, when you start spinning your pedals and you hear like stuff grinding, like it sounds like metal scratching metal, that probably means your bearings are screwed up inside. You need to take the pedal apart and fix that. But again, these right out of the box have a nice smooth spin to them with no grindy sound. So they sound good and they look awesome. So let me go ahead and put the other pedal on the other side, and then we'll be right back up and we'll recap everything and finish up. Okay, we are finally done. So check this out. Let's just go ahead and do a recap of what we've done today. We went ahead and we put on the new medium-sized memory foam seat with the air channels to help keep you cool when you're riding, but also help cushion your backside when you're riding for longer distances. That seat is really, really good. I went ahead and I swapped out a new stem right here, which is a shorter stem with a slight rise. Then we went ahead and put on new blue aluminum sleeves with a new blue top plate here. Got all that bolted down. We then went ahead and put on a new set of handlebars. These are aluminum handlebars here, the 31.8. These ones right here have a little bit more of a rise to them over the factory bars. I'd say maybe about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch max, somewhere around that ballpark there. But they do give you a little bit more rise. So when you add the combination of the slight rise stem with the slight rise handlebars, you can actually get these bars a little further up and closer to you with this setup here, which was exactly what my wife was looking for. Then we went ahead, put on the new red lock-on grips, which have a nice grippy feel. They hold on to the bike really, really well, and they look awesome on the bike. We put the new grip sleeves on the shifters here, which gives you a really nice grip on your levers in case you happen to have wet or muddy hands when you're out trail riding. We then went ahead, put on a new water bottle cage here, which again works really well for your basic water bottles and actual water bottles. This is really good here, very inexpensive. And we went ahead and put on the new pedals here, which look awesome on the bike, give a good bit of grip to your shoes, and the color combination looks really good, and these are all aluminum. So these ones here were exactly what my wife was looking for, something that had a nice metal look to them, had a nice color combination, had some nice grip, and I think these are gonna work out really well for her. So overall, this is what we've done to the bike so far, which again, I think is really gonna help her enjoy bike riding more this year. So before on the factory setup, the handlebars were too low and too far forward. So she ended up having to reach over, which was putting a lot of stress on her lower back and on the back of her neck, which I had the same issue on my bike, which is why I swapped out my stem and handlebars to something that had more of a rise to them. So that right there helped my wife out tremendously. And then the new cushion seat is going to help give her more comfort for longer rides so that she's not as uncomfortable so quick. This right here is really going to help her stay on the trail a lot longer and enjoy the outdoors. The new pedals are going to give her a lot more grip, so when she does go through mud puddles or it's a rainy day or whatever the case is, her feet aren't going to slip off as much when she actually really needs that grip when it's needed most. The water bottle holder is obviously going to give her the addition of carrying additional drinks with us on the trail. The lock-on grips work out great, and the grip sleeves work out great as well. And it adds a little bit of a splash of color to her bike, so it's not just basically black and silver. Adding in the red and blues really just helps give it a nice, cool look, and she's really happy with it. So she came out, she sat on the bike. We made a couple adjustments to get the handlebars where they needed to be. We adjusted the seat to the right angle that works really well for her, tightened everything down, and she rode it around the driveway a little bit, and she really likes it. And that's the whole goal. The whole goal is to take whatever bike you have and make minor changes to it so that it fits your body frame better. Because when you have a bike that's designed to fit you better, you're going to enjoy riding it a lot more. So other than that, everything's going good. And then depending on how aggressive she does take bike riding, we might in the near future swap out her front forks to a little bit of a better fork. But other than that, we're going to start with these adjustments that we've made today, ride some trails and see how it does. And then we'll go from there if we need to make any more adjustments and any more modifications. But so far, the Schwinn Aluminum Comp is a great bike. It's a great platform for modifying. And it's a very good, affordable bike for trail riding if you don't want to get into any crazy costs. This bike here is probably only a little over $200. And then I probably have less than $100 in all of these upgrades. So for a little over $300 total invested so far, she's going to have a great bike that's very comfortable. It's modified to suit her specific frame better so that she can actually enjoy riding it longer. And it's going to be great for your typical paved trail riding. And it's also going to work really well when we take it off-road this summer as well. So that right there is the first phase of the Schwinn Aluminum Comp build that I'm building for my wife. And then eventually we might make a few more adjustments. But for now, we're going to start with that and see how it goes. Okay, everybody, so we are done. We got all the modifications added to the bike today. My wife came out and tested the bike out. She loves it. She's really happy with it. And ultimately, that's the main goal. I want her to enjoy the bike. I want her to be comfortable on the bike. I want her to be able to ride for longer distances without being sore. Because again, it's just about making your bike more comfortable for you so that you can stay out and enjoy the outdoors even longer. But that's it for today's video. I hope some of these modifications help some of you out. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and like this video. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And do me a favor, subscribe to the channel because it definitely helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. And also hit that notification bell because I'm always doing modifications on a variety of things and there's always more content to come. So that's it. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I truly appreciate you all. Thank you for all of the support. And as always, see you in the next video.